in the home stretch.
Test drilling in front of the fire hall. Yeah, sit over here. It's for the,
Coughing, I thought you were sick.
No,
oh,
why'd you think I was sick?
you can get over there.
Were you on that email?
Right, you included me.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, I just didn't want to go.
Oh. Okay.
I'm not sure, yeah, I think that's cool.
Anybody want one? I'll run next one. Thank you.
We'll fight one later.
There you go.
Matt's not gonna be here, just got back from vacation yesterday. Ann has a meeting, so she couldn't be here today, she's in Mountain Hills. And Michelle now has commitments on Monday, so she can no longer be part of the task force. So. Well, other than that, there's a handful of things going around the table, today's agenda. One that's labeled Streetscape Survival Notes, and then there's a copy of what Curtis distributed 2 weeks ago. If people didn't have their copy or wanted to look more intently at it, just as a reminder notice. But the agenda is pretty straightforward. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened at the July 10th meeting. I wasn't able to be at it, but I know a couple of people in this room were. And then we're going to review and discuss what Curtis and come to our final conclusion. I've gotten feedback from several people via email and in person. I just want to make sure that after 2 weeks of thinking about it, we start consistent on what we want to do and maybe look at some of the messaging in there as well. And then the last thing is I've been attending, well, starting back in March, at the national conference, I went to a streetscape survival session where we went quite in deep on what people have done to get through their same process that we're about to go through. And a couple of other webinars that I've tapped into from other states talking about streetscapes. So it's just basically a bullet point of best practices, and then we can look to incorporate some of those as well. Promotions Committee has also taken a look at this just to brainstorm events, ideas for the upcoming year, because it's going to be a very different summer next year. So, without much further ado, Chief, Joe, you want to talk about what was at the meeting on the 10th last week?
Sure. It was under the, I guess these guys are the intention from Orion to call it a coordination meeting because the Orion Baldwin Road project is running so far behind that their main thrust was to try to convince MDOT to delay the whole project another year, and or if at least half of the project till another year, and or certain parts of it will be delayed, whatever. And MDOT, went through everything, listened to everything, but from their point of view, that it was going to be costly by delaying it because the costs keep going up and up. And at the same time, there's always a chance, a very good chance, that the funding would just be moved on to another project and would not be in 2020 or 2021, whatever. So much discussion went around, and they tried to explain how it's delayed and traffic is so bad. And all of next year, the road will only be 2-lane traffic. And we said, yeah, well, it'll be on the 2-lane.
Baldwin Road.
Baldwin Road, yeah,
Yes.
Baldwin Road. And we went, yeah, you go, well, have you driven through there? Matter of fact, that's how we came to the meeting. We drove down through there, and there was absolutely no issues with traffic whatsoever. We came through there, and we went back home that way. There was absolutely no traffic. I said, Baldwin Road has been 2-lane traffic for over 100 years. So I'm not quite sure why you think it's such a big deal that next year. So they were taken aback by that. And this was coming from Road Commission, Oakland County Road, because it's an Oakland County Road Commission project. So there was much discussion back and forth. Next year, the big problem is at Walden Road, they will be building another roundabout there. And so that intersection of Walden Road will be closed for a 2-month, 3-month period of time. So that's like oh my goodness, how does everybody get here?
East-west traffic, right?
East and west, not north and south, east and west. So again, we said, well, is most of your traffic concerns because of they got Walden Middle Schools down there, on Walden Road, right there between their jobs, and is that your concerns for the traffic? Well, it's got a lot to do with that. I said, fine. Do you work there in June, July, and August when school's up? So they weren't real happy with us. And then Jack Curtis launched into the whole fact of what we've been doing for this project and planning, TAC grant, already talking to the community, already laying the groundwork, getting everybody ready for it, prepared for it. Everybody spent a whole lot of time and money on it. The township is going through the whole engineering and everything with the sewer main that's going down through there, plus, the timetable, water main projects that we both got going on for that part, for that part of it. And it is our opinion that, no, we're not going to delay it. And then they tried to say, well, how about the Orange Park? Can they just delay that part? And then MDOT said, well, no, because when an asphalt contractor gets the contract for the whole project, he's bidding total materials, he's not going to say, oh, I can only do part of it, wait another year to do the rest of it. So MDOT, at the end of the meeting, Bill Dunn said, so what is the status of the project? And they said the project's going ahead without cancellation and without changing it. Moving on.
That's pretty much what Dave Harrison had told me in a conversation I had with him, that it was.
Because I asked him, I said, so if this happens, and you have to, say if it gets delayed, cost goes up, where does that money come from then? Well, then we review it and
Cut things out of the project.
So we start cutting things, and I said, so in other words, like safety pads and things like that. He said, well, yeah, no, not gonna happen, so.
The big concern at Walden Road, because it's an east-west one, is that, again, they're gonna try to get that done, and they're gonna postpone the Indianwood intersection work until that one is done. And even if it's not completely done, they start that August 1st, it'll be 90% done. There won't be a huge overlap there. They're gonna try to minimize the overlap, because people don't want to take that road and head east on it or west on it.
And there will be still a lot of work going on in the section of working on right now because of the beautification efforts with the fountains and the landscape and everything. And then when we heard that, we just said, go away.
Yeah, because the four lanes that will be open, only the outer lane, north and south, will be open to traffic, because the two inner lanes will be lined with contractors and stuff and doing all the work in the medians and stuff like that. So it'll still be one lane north and south, just like now. It'll still be a cone up area, which makes people drive slower and congest a little bit more, but still, it'll still be lane north and lane south, just like it is now and just like it was before.
So we all agreed that the entire project has to be a lot of communication that goes on and coordination going on a regular basis. And we'll make sure, I said, well, I'm hoping you do better than the way you're doing right now with your communication, because up until this point, and including the other project when you did it on 24, there was zero communication to any of us up here.
I wasn't even notified at that meeting. I only found out because Bill Dunn called me and he.
So I said, right now, every day I go to, we go to work in the morning, everybody has to sit there and ask, how did you get to work this morning as far as what road is closed? Because I said, we have to go south to all the hospitals. I can't get there anywhere because you've got construction on every single road that you can deal with going south. I need to know. So all of a sudden on Friday, I got an email from Jerry Geely, I think it was, the other guy said, our construction meetings in Baldwin Road will be next Tuesday at 11 o'clock and you're invited for the rest of the year. Okay. So hopefully that we can continue that going forward.
Well, I know I talked to both you and Pete, or Joe and Pete and Glenn, and expressed my concern with that whole meeting. And my preference was that the project stays where it's at.
Oh,
So
absolutely. So.
I'm glad that conversation went that direction.
Yep. So that was, at the end of the meeting, that was it. Moving forward.
No, I think the right move was made. I think your address to Baldwin Road is correct. I just traveled it the other day, and I found very little traffic, no problems to get in and out. They have apparently issues. I believe that we're positioned to do what we need to do here with our planning. I think due to excellent planning, I think in the last couple of years.
I think they referred to the point that they ran into utility problems or whatever, and the gist they got from us is like, because that's an open county job, we just said, better engineering would have alleviated it.
Right.
So they didn't.
Good job.
Cool.
Moving forward.
Moving forward,
Okay.
let's talk about what we've got from Digital Alliance. I will say that most of the feedback I have gotten from people who are not here, who I shared it with, and some people who were here, is there is an overwhelming support for the logo of the Restore 24. So, I know people here at the table have expressed that to me, and it was expressed to Curtis that that was the preferred option.
I wasn't here at the last meeting, but that'd be my preference. I wonder if we could remove the 2020 and add the tagline that Curtis provided in one of the other designs, which was a better road forward. I like that tagline, and maybe the tagline exists independent of the logo, but I like this. This seems to stay fairly true to the design that the student created. Restore 24 says nice really good. The other two, 24, which I kind of see what, I don't know where that's coming from.
24.
20 for 24, yeah,
Not sure.
that doesn't make sense to me. 2020 vision, okay, but I mean, it's kind of cheesy, and it's like every plan that was done 10 years ago was like the 2020 plan, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, I like this, this is a road sign, so it's recognizable, this would be my preference.
And I think I agree with the 2020 part, doesn't need to be there.
I don't think-
Regardless, I mean.
But I had that same comment last time and was told that 2020 is on there to designate that it's a temporary situation. It's, in that 1 year and then gone. So that was the explanation. I liked it I liked removing it from a standpoint that I thought was cleaner.
That's my point,
Yeah, there's a lot of numbers kind of
Right, there's a lot to it.
popping out.
Was that the presenter's explanation?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, well, he's not here today, so.
Well, I'm just telling you, that
Yeah.
was brought up and that was the explanation.
Yeah, and I don't want to.
Curtis is not here to defend himself because I wanted us to have a discussion without him before.
Not that I'm describing what he did, it's good work, it just,
Oh, yeah.
I think the less busy you can make us, better off.
Well, I think
You
for
can all the roll sign.
impact, I think on some of like the Facebook page or the website or some of the other things that he was made designs for, to add on that tagline. But
That road forward.
yeah, because you want to keep the initial thing like in your face, and I go by the KISS philosophy, just keep it simple.
Steve.
And that shows up. I didn't say, just that,
well, and the whole 2020 thing is described in the description, it's outlined in the
Right.
description.
When he talked about the domain names, he even went and got one from 20vision.com, whatever. He said, well, the .com for Restore 24 was already taken from like a restoration company. And I said, what about the other ones? They usually refer to some of them as top level domain names, .com, .org, and there's a third one, I think, .net. And he said, well, .org, you really couldn't do that, so that's for organizations. I'm like, well, ours is .org, PDA is .org.
Yeah.
right?
If .org was available for this, why wouldn't we just get it? Because once you start using it, somebody searches for it, they'll
Yeah,
pop up.
right.
So not saying it's necessary.
The nice thing about the sign appearance of this logo is that it can be used, obviously, in the examples that are given, but it's a sign. So,
Yeah.
maybe it's even like a souvenir sign that's made up that is sold, to help offset some costs or something. Maybe it's, old-fashioned fans that are handed out at the concerts or
Right.
something. This seems more versatile in its shape and program than the other ones.
And clean and clear, like I said, simple.
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we go with that,
Okay.
if we need a motion.
Anything else for
Will this, yeah,
the discussion?
with whatever we decide, I think that the logo and tagline should also go to the DDA board for approval and the village council board for approval. Only because that way there's buy-in, and 6 months from now, no one entity can say, well, hey, where'd this come from? We didn't approve it. Kind of thing. I don't see council having any issue with this. You know, I think this is presented nicely.
I'm just going to toss around the other boards for posters and Facebook and such, so that we can see how well this is going to work in the other medium. So, I do like the idea of pulling phrase off of the 2020 project with a better road forward. I think that's a really good tagline.
That's
And
positive.
even seeing this, well, these will come out, won't they? The banners, the poles will come out.
Well, that's the summer concert series banner heading, so.
When will the poles come out?
When they do the project.
Yeah.
Because it'd be cool to
Spring.
have banners that have that logo on them. But if the poles aren't there, it doesn't make a difference.
Well, one side will be up, but then again, it's gonna be all full of construction on that other side. It may not even be, it might not be worth having over.
Right, I'm just thinking of other ways to use this.
Yeah.
Well, the sidewalk comes out, the cars come out, the poles come out.
I mean, we could do temporary banners, have them up, say from March 1st
Oh,
forward.
right, before the event.
Because their earliest they're looking at starting is probably March 15th,
Right.
and they're starting at Dreamer, and that's gonna take 3 to 4 weeks.
At least.
Yeah, so maybe this is printed up on a banner, Restore 24, March 2020, or March to November 2020. You
The,
know?
It's about $500, so it's not
Yeah.
much.
the Christmas holiday banners that we normally have up
Yes.
would come down normally when.
Typically, they come down right around March 1st anyway.
Perfect when they put these up.
Yeah, because we go from,
They'll be up for 2 months.
We could even put them up a month early. I would suggest putting them up February.
Now, I'm thinking about that, can we put up the sign that looks like a road sign and have that right away?
We can do it as a banner.
As a
Yeah.
banner.
yeah, as long as it has a rectangular shape, we can mimic, that on a banner without any problem, because it's not mounted down in that area where you would normally see a traffic control sign.
Right, that makes sense.
And we can get temporary vinyl ones much cheaper than we get it for the cloth ones.
Yeah, and here by February, if we can get it up.
Yeah.
Nice, but depending on.
That's how much we drive down to send these guys out there.
Can we get those made up in bigger signs like this that the businesses could all put in their front window?
Well, that's something we're going to talk about when we get into the business survival packet,
Okay.
which is on our agenda today, is actually think about what, and I'm glad we have at least one business on here, to talk about what we can do to help them survive and what kind of kits we need to do.
Yeah, something like this, and each window with a, again, the tagline can be different underneath there. You could still say, go forward with that, saying, please be patient or something like that.
Yeah, this is-
that, so.
Yeah, the businesses could even have construction specials
Right.
for lunch, or, whatever messaging they want to add to it.
It's-
You need a window that says no construction workers allowed, because they're going to drink their lunch.
Yeah, that is one thing that I've heard over and over again, is the reduction in traffic is in some part offset by the number of workers in the community who are going to be looking for lunch and other things.
Or something.
And if they're working until 10 o'clock at night, they're going to be looking for lunch and dinner. Yeah, it depends on what the bid requests of the village and how late they can work, and whether they give them the variance to work till 11 o'clock at night or something, and start at 6 or 7 in the morning.
Businesses could even do a coaster
Mhm.
Yeah.
sign.
Something like the placemats.
Placemats, coasters, I mean-
restaurants.
The possibility, with any of these logos, the
Yeah.
possibilities are endless.
Right.
And then maybe even that coaster on the back has a QR code to the website that gives all the updates.
It's easy enough to
Just
do.
thinking out loud. Yeah, it is.
I mean, these are the kind of ideas we just can spit out when we get to
Well,
this.
yeah, I'm jumping the gun here.
Now, Ann's not here, but she did send me an email, Digital Alliance did a really good job. The Restore 24 is the best, immediately recognizable, 100% clear to all ages and the language fits. I think we're comfortable with that kind of commentary. The 20 for 24 is less clear, and, Ann said, I just didn't get this one.
You did the same thing downtown.
The last one, the Oxford Vision 2020, A Better Road Forward. She likes the visionary forward-looking ideas behind it, but graphically it's just too busy and too confusing. Is it eyeglasses? Is it coat hangers? Is it swans? So,
It's irrelevant because we decided to go with it.
Yeah.
last thought, the Restore 24 contest winner, no compulsion to literally recreate the drawing, but just recognize and having, she'll be thrilled at having her theme line live on everything. So that concept rendering is really good.
But with this, maybe we do some sort of, maybe it's a DDA meeting or a council meeting or whichever is better, but have that student who designed this originally with her original concept and then kind of the professionalized version.
Right.
But a presentation of sorts, thanking her. I don't know if you've already given out the gift card or not already.
We sent her a check.
Yeah, I talked with her mom and she said a check would be fine, rather than going through the added expense of getting
Right.
a gift card.
Right. Maybe we can do a certificate of appreciation or something.
Right.
And
And
that way
mock up
it's,
a big check.
Yeah.
mock up a big check. And that way it's social media content here, and maybe that's the first reveal
And say that's kind of kickoff.
to the public is, you know,
Can we
whatever
do
the
it,
student's name was, this is what was created.
can we do it this year?
Yeah, I'd say
Late
before
December, yeah, to do it so that we're
If not before.
If not before.
ready to go.
Maybe even before, maybe even before the end of the summer, because what adopting this logo does is it lets the community know and the businesses know that we are making progress, that we're serious, that we've got direction. We can say this will be attached to, you know, banners and coasters and all, the whole 9 yards. This is the first time the public is seeing this, but it's not going to be the last time.
Yeah, but it also affords them time to order,
Yeah,
whatever they want.
Yeah, right.
you know, to do like placemats and all that stuff, or decide what we're gonna do and come up with ideas. I'm sure there'll be a lot.
Just to identify the person who won this contest for design, who, tell us a little bit about her.
It's a fifth grader. I don't know much about her.
Do you have her name?
Yes.
Start name on the check.
Yeah, I have all that information back in my
I was
office.
just thinking for the camera here, it might be
Okay,
something mentioned.
I can be right back with that. Keep talking.
Yeah, she,
That's you, Joe? Did I keep talking?
don't.
So the coaster idea, that is clever, and with that being said, is that something that the DDA would want to talk about, underwriting the cost of that for the shops? I mean, in my opinion, I don't own one of the shops, but if I did own one of the shops, I would think that it would be a nice gesture that the DDA underwrote the cost of that versus making the shop
agree.
owner.
You go through a lot of coasters. What do they run?
No, we don't have
You don't have
coasters.
coasters? Oh.
But is that something you would
But,
use?
I mean, the businesses are gonna have to
Right.
fork up a lot of incentives to get people to come in. And I think any help that we get in that idea, you know, I mean, every time we discount something, that's less off the bottom line, so.
Right.
When while you're out, Brian suggested that the DDA maybe provide the funding to print the coasters.
We have a lot of money in the budget for business survival kits and
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
other deliverables.
We should be a sign off like that big, that we provide each business with
Oh, sure. I mean, that's basically 11 by 17, so we can print those in-house and
a poster board or something like that.
and generate lots of things. But we have roughly $18,000 in the budget to spend on deliverables.
It'd be nice, if can we get them
Collateral
cut out like that?
Yeah,
Cut
exactly.
out like
Yeah.
a shape?
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Well,
Yeah.
That's a little costlier, but you can get it done usually.
you can,
They can
What
be
do you
round,
like that?
they can be round.
the reverse square is very easy to
Yeah,
produce
just,
in high volumes.
I think the posters are something
And
that
maybe that one's
should be needed.
better road forward
Rather than
underneath,
put the money somewhere else.
website on the back.
Or the QR codes on the back, we have better road forward, so people know what it is.
Where'd your money be best spent?
Yeah, something like a coaster would be the square one on the bottom.
Right.
I don't see people.
Yeah. I just was thinking though that the sign, when it's cut out in this shape rather than square, it's
It's unique, but you pay most of the contour cut when you have
Plus you don't-
shoes, that's.
Yeah,
You don't have the space on you wouldn't have the real estate on the back of the information that you want to put to.
yeah, but who's gonna walk in and go to the other side of the window and read?
No,
Or the-
posters is what-
Oh, the coasters,
Oh, you're
yeah.
talking about having the signs kind
No, I'm talking about the signs that we could put in every business.
We wouldn't be able to produce them in-house then.
Yeah. We
Unless you
can,
cut them by hand.
a compound cut like that will really bump up the cost. But if we use just the black and white poster, I think it'll be very stark if that fills up the entire, I mean, this is the size of our regular posters. And so if we fill up the top half with just that logo,
And then that tagline down below, maybe,
And
because it's
then-
not, that's a square, you can have it out long.
Yeah.
And you got space in the bottom, you can't stretch it out.
Right, well, and then under there, maybe it's the concert in the park schedule or whatever other event schedule, you know what I mean? There's,
Right?
if
I don't
you're
think
using
you
something
should
this size,
have all this on the bottom.
no,
You
no.
want just this
You mean,
in,
with the-
in some space. The bigger you can get this, the better.
I think my overriding opinion though is that the businesses are gonna need help in getting people downtown, period. A
Yes.
coaster is not gonna do that.
No, that's.
So, and a coaster, maybe, you know, utilized in a bar and a restaurant, but what about the other
Right?
Yeah.
businesses?
That's
So
what
I
I
think
was
the biggest
thinking.
help that we need as business owners are convincing people to come downtown, period, and not
Yes.
avoid downtown.
Right.
So whatever you could do to that end, I think is where we need to put our money.
Right. So we've got, you know, we have a total project budget for promotions regarding the reconstruction of just under $30,000. It's divvied out in all kinds of little places, you know, but we've got like a $3,000 ad buy on Comcast Spotlight for that, during that time frame. That's gonna hit everybody in the corridor and other things like that. There's, you know, social media posts are really easily affordable because of the way we can target with them and really get a geographical location going, because rather than just a 5-mile radius, we can stretch it and do a corridor purchase and actually target those nodes that shop downtown already. So there are a lot of things. I've actually got 3 companies working on getting me a proposal for marketing and advertising during that period.
Does that include signage too, you know, parking signage and directional
Yes,
signage?
yes.
Because that's, I think, the biggest part of this, is that people have to know how to get to us.
Right.
What is the parking going to be like?
Mhm.
Rather than thinking of ways to avoid the area, which is the mindset that's there now.
Mhm.
Well, a lot of the parking and directional signage, I think, is going to be underwritten by the state, isn't it?
They're
These
gonna-
were directional.
They're gonna do their detour directionals, but if we want, you know, they'll give you the M-24 access road to businesses, you know, access to downtown business sign, the orange one with the black lettering.
Business is open,
But-
it'd be very generic.
We can go there and put right next to it a listing to access these businesses, turn left here or turn right here.
Okay.
And so, you know, we're
They
gonna,
won't help us with the individual type signs, like if you want to put one of your own homegrown signs down there on Glasgow Point downtown,
Right.
we're gonna try to work with them to allow it, but NDOT won't be part of that, and we can't attach it to NDOT signs.
and part of that, we may want to look at planning commission and our normal signing ordinance
Right,
to allow temporary signs for a much longer period.
yeah.
So that way businesses can put out A-frames for the whole summer or something.
I had one thing, can we table these type
Yeah,
of
right, right,
discussions?
right.
Because that's what's on the next on the agenda.
Yep.
Any quick thoughts on the taglines, other than we would like the better road forward and want to incorporate that into this?
Yeah.
And we're also suggesting to remove the 2020 then.
Yes.
The tagline and stuff, okay.
Regardless of the reasoning of the
Right.
developer.
Newspapers, we need any favor.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
I do like the, you know, lead the effort to completely restore 24 through the downtown corridor, reshaping our streetscape and pedestrian infrastructure. I think that's really good language, but I think that, you know, restore 24 is more of our logo type. A better road forward, I think, is a better tagline for the overall project. Yeah, I mean, but that's just my opinion.
I agree.
I think there's consensus there.
Well, yeah, I think there's consensus, but I don't think that we should, that's too much language to put on the immediate sign.
Oh, no, that would be the
That's like a
tagline.
tagline, yeah.
That
That's-
when we
yeah.
have written communications, we incorporate
Right,
that down at the end.
definitely.
You know, social media posts, anything of that nature.
Well, what about if we had one of these 11 by 17s upright? I mean, the logo is going to take the top
Oh, yeah,
half. You can put the tagline below, like one a window sign.
Yep, like that.
Right,
you know, there's the logo, there's a bit of infrastructure, you know, restoration season, March through November, website, a better road forward.
Hashtag better go forward.
Hashtag, well, all,
Hashtag Oxford, whatever.
yeah, it'll be
right.
hashtagging and all of this.
I don't do it either, I'm wondering.
So,
That's what we got, I think it's a hashtag. Is that a Twitter thing, or is it you just show up there? I don't know.
I like Corbin Cash, but
hashtags are just a filing system.
I don't, I just don't.
Well, maybe the hashtag's Restore 24.
One of both.
Both?
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, you start sticking 4 or 5 hashtags
That's
on the end.
really that's how they're meant to be used.
And that's really starts to boost your reach on that, especially if we're dropping $10 a day on boosting. So,
Hashtag library. You should just Google hashtag library.
I have people that do that.
Okay.
He doesn't.
yes, people, whereas I have to go out and Google all of the taglines for the other 6 Oxfords in America. So,
And then other people talk to your people.
Yep.
all right, I think that's, oh, the young lady's name was Aaliyah Lovely. Her mom, Jamie, is who I've been corresponding with.
She lived in Knox.
Quincy.
Yes, she lives in Oxford.
Sure.
I'm not sharing her address.
Well, I don't think we want to put
Ours
it
is
on
the
the camera
father,
anyway.
would be the father.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the village is familiar with that person.
Every town is in LA.
I thought it was a unique idea.
Yeah. Think outside the box. I like the idea of the orange one myself, but again, it made sense why, we don't want to scare people away.
As a negative kind of.
Right.
Yeah, that's
To
the
me,
main
to me, it
thing.
means to an end, so I look at it more in a positive way, but I can see how that was a minority position.
Orange.
Yeah.
Curtis very much wants us to focus on the positive, and I very much agree with that.
Right.
So that we stay away from any negative connotations. So, we move forward on that. All right. The last thing is a bulleted list that I've been collecting, and it's labeled Streetscape Survival Notes. As I said at the National Conference, they had an in-depth dive into doing streetscapes. And then there have been other seminars regarding it in the past. 6 months? No, 3 months. I lose track of how long it's been since I was in Seattle. But this is basically a bulleted point list of just the best practices from all the people I've talked to, from like 6 or 7 different states, plus what I've pulled from Farmington when they through their process, and what I've pulled from Saline when they went through the process. And the most interesting one out of this entire list that I saw was stock up on pallets of gallon-sized water for the project, because you never know when somebody's gonna get their water cut and they need 30 gallons of water to run their dishwasher or something like that. So, you know, it's like, I can see with the breweries that you're gonna
That
need
would be really bad.
leak notice.
You gotta see
I
it.
don't know, all your water's on the backside.
No, not north of,
No.
not north of
Theirs
Berkeley.
isn't.
It's on sidewalks, west side,
Theirs
east
is on the front
side.
side.
Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
Berkeley South is on the back side.
I got you.
and so that's just that, you know, if the water goes out for 30 minutes and you've gotta run dishes, you know, you've got a means to get some water there so they can run
Break
their
up some
dishwasher.
extra old cups.
You better have lots of water.
Better have a lot of paper plates. Heavy duty.
I'm looking at a pallet truck with pallets of gallon jugs filled. That might be something to reach out to Myers for, but, so, you know, just some of the highlights of what they were talking about is, everybody says, have a weekly project meeting during construction open to the public, so that you can say, this is what we accomplished last week, this is what we're looking at accomplishing this week, this is where we're gonna have utilities cut off at this time, and it's just, you know, this room could be the place that becomes the HQ for the project, because we really don't have any place on the street. We could possibly use a vacant storefront, but that opens up liability issues as
Right.
well.
We'd
So
have to lease it.
No,
you would have to do a lease on it, but, you know, if we still have a vacant storefront in core downtown at that point, that might be an option to make that the HQ and reach out to the property owners or the leasing agent and say, we want to put informational posters there, we want to hold our project meetings there or whatever. The closer you can get to the project, the better.
And we'll promote it as a nice place to be after we leave.
Yes. Except for what's in the back. Oh. So, you know, designating a point person, everything to this point is pointed towards me as being the point person and the person who touches base with all of the businesses daily. I'm gonna have to get myself an electric scooter or something to get up and down 24 faster, but it's just.
If you don't have a large area or space that you can do this, I might consider you maybe talking to Ron Davis for the community. He has pretty good size.
I think it needs to be as close to the construction as possible.
Yeah, I mean, this is a large enough.
Because businesses, you know, aren't
people are
going to
not gonna
travel.
drive all the way out there.
Yeah,
Find
Can't
out.
really get in and out of
Okay.
the core, however they want to drive it out there.
exactly.
They
It needs to
might
be
need to
someplace
walk
walking
this place.
distance.
Well, it's not 100 miles away. It's
Well,
just
you can't
suggestion.
walk to it though.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because they're gonna be down there for a 15-minute meeting. You could walk down, spend 15 minutes here and walk right back. Never have to touch your car and go through
Right.
the hassle.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things is a lot of our businesses have a back door that you can access. So one of the things we might recommend is going to the planning commission and allowing them to create a larger size for temporary banners so that they can put a sign out on their back door if they don't have one, so that people know where they're at once they're in the parking lot. We can get them into the lot, and most of the locals are gonna know where they're going.
Right.
Right.
But it's those people who haven't been downtown in a year that we're gonna wanna have good wayfinding signage for them and good point of place
I gotta believe
signage.
that 90% of the people that stop in any businesses, restaurants, stores, whatever that exists
Mhm.
right now, come in through the back.
Yes.
I mean, I believe, I'd be surprised if there was even 5% that actually park
If-
out front.
Mhm.
If you walk in the front door, you're not a local
No.
for the core downtown. Now,
Well, excuse me.
On the outside, no.
It's a challenge, and I always
I
park
make it
downtown if I
I make it
can.
a point to come through the front door.
I do too.
so,
Only because it ticks me off that everybody says, oh, you can't park out there. So I
I'll
do.
walk to the tap room here and I'm gonna go in the front door because it's a lot closer.
yeah, this is just a list that you can identify things for, you know, social media to push the shop and dine one-stop trips. If you're coming down for dinner, well, stopping at these retailers, or if you're coming down to go to this retailer, why not just stay down for dinner and drinks or something? And get people to think about making one trip with multiple stops on foot rather than,
Glenn, do you know if retailers are considering adjusting their hours? Because as it is right now, by the time I commute, so every day I commute, and most retailers are completely closed by the end of the commuting period. So with the commute being longer for some folks, I wonder if retailers would consider staying open longer
or shifting their
or
hours back.
shifting their,
Yeah.
Right.
I've had some preliminary discussions with some of the people who are retailers in downtown, and, you know, they're open to that to some extent. As long as most people do it, then they're open to it.
right?
But if it's just gonna be them as a trial balloon, they tend to get disgruntled if they're open till 8 and have to pay staff and nobody comes in. So
Good.
it's a means of, you know, getting people to buy into the process.
And that comes into the contest and communications and things like that. Like the one with Celine, that their hashtag or their thing was pave it forward, back in the pay it forward theme. You know, if everybody said, I commit to go down and buying something at the Michigan store, you know, twice during the project, which they probably haven't been in there in 2 years.
Right.
Those kind of things. If she said, you know, if I'm gonna be open from 5 to 8, which I normally am not, but I have some commitments from people to come on in as a pay it forward type thing.
Right. I have some really good language on that. You know, if you spend $30 a month in a local retailer and you're downtown, it'll make sure if everybody in Oxford did that, picked a store and spent $30 there a month, once, you know, in,
Time to cut off Amazon after 6 months and shut down.
Exactly.
you know, and that will really greatly improve our survivability of our local merchants and retailers and restaurants and such.
If they're gonna be open later hours, they all have to do it.
Yes,
Otherwise,
gotta think like a
they'll-
mall.
And,
they'll-
right, and that should happen whether or not construction's happening anyways, because,
We're getting there.
you know, you look at a Thursday night, and there's 200 people in the park, and all the retailers are closed.
Davis and the car cruise on Fridays, the same thing, it's packed. And the only place open is one of the guys sells ice cream cones or something in the bakery. That's it. Hardware was closed at 7:30 or something. Everyone else is closed.
The thing with independent business people, because I've dealt with
They have an independent street.
They do, and they wanna shop the hours that they wanna be open the hours that you're working, because that's what they consider their workday.
Right.
They need to go the other way.
Right. If you're
Earlier
in
or
retail
later, or take a break in the middle of the day.
I don't
Stay,
know,
but
I think
it's
most
very hard to
businesses
get.
want to make money, and if they're,
Absolutely.
if it means they're open from noon to 8, so be it, that's when they're gonna be
Yeah.
open. But,
Right.
and I've talked to a couple of retailers who have tried later hours, and they said, no one comes in, and I
Yes.
can't pay the staff.
Yes.
But the reason that nobody comes in is because nobody
It's a
expects you
chicken
to
and
be
egg,
open.
yeah, it's a chicken and an egg.
It
for sure,
is. They
but-
know you're not gonna be open, so why even bother if you
Yeah.
But I
try?
could tell you, we would be open from 3 a.m. to, 8 p.m. if it meant we were having business that whole time.
Right.
You know,
Breakfast
it's
and a
not-
beer.
It's because we're there.
Yeah, people will drive by a place for 3 months, a new place, oh, went out of business. Well, you drove by for 3 months, thinking you were gonna stop, you never did. Or,
It's always someone
they'll
else's
drive by-
responsibility.
They'll drive by, so they're open late, you don't have to stop in there, but then they don't.
Mhm. Now, the two last points I want to focus on in the next 15 minutes or so are just brainstorming what we need in a merchant survival kit. I'm going to keep working on this as I ask people throughout the next couple of months, because we're looking at ordering materials for all of this.
Can we do a focus group with some more merchants?
Most definitely.
Mhm.
You know, I tend to find that 2 or 3 together work well.
Right.
There are some people, though, who won't do focus groups because they don't want to give away their ideas to everybody else.
so they're all in this together.
Yeah.
That's part of it, is we've got to convince people that it's all together, you know, regardless whether we have a cluster of businesses that are your competition or not. It's, the whole commercial corridor is going to survive and thrive together, or it's not.
Yeah, I'm thinking,
They don't have to give up all their ideas.
I know,
I mean, if you had 5, give up 3 and keep 2.
yes.
I was a businessman for 37 years, so I understand what she's saying here. Lots of things can help.
Yes.
Can you save money? Okay, that's a good place to begin, however, it's not the all the end all. We're looking at maybe, the advertising, look at these roadside display units. What do they call them?
Billboards.
LED reader boards, you mean?
Not LEDs. There's a full, a board, bulletin board, or a large board.
Billboard?
Billboard.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Well, she comes in handy. Yeah, there's a larger billboard down this end, maybe that would be something that they could program in, like get the point across.
Mhm.
Other things too is, as I pointed out, everybody should be in this together. They should all bring their ideas forward. Somebody needs to get out there, which would be the special committee that's going out to find out what their needs are. I'm not at all sure that if we just set the hours without promotions going all the time, that's going to be any advantage. They're going to have people that are going to say, gee, I wonder how many employees I'm going to need, for this.
Mhm.
So they use 6 of their employees and they find out they only need 1 or 2. So there's a lot of pre-planning on their part, but they need to stick it together, hold it all together, and somebody has to tie it all together.
Mhm.
And I think a big part is going to be in the advertising, the medias that you use. Really. Another portion of it, of course, is what kind of promotions do they want to have that's unique to get those out there.
Glenn, in your promotions, funds and stuff, is there any gift card or cash, something like that, to help the businesses that they do giveaways that they're not funding at all? Didn't you mention that something like that before, I thought?
We've kept some of it vague.
We can't give them money, of course, to give away, but maybe we could fund some of the giveaways that they give away or something?
Yes, there are things we can do. I mean, just,
Village-wide promotion, so
Yeah.
it's not targeting a specific business.
Right.
we do have cooperative advertising budget for next year, so that if somebody wants to advertise something, we've got a pool of money to do a subsidy of that. So depending on what type of advertising it is and where we're going with it, but we've got that. We've had cooperative advertising in the budget for the last 6 years and just hasn't been used, so I left it in there with the intent that we can do this for construction season specials.
Where would somebody like you advertise? Would you go on charter? Or would it be radio?
We
I mean,
utilize social media the
Okay,
most.
I'm saying that's what it is. So I wonder if this is a wonder on their end.
Yeah.
What's the best way to even?
I mean,
County social media.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, most
Yeah.
people don't even watch cable nowadays.
yeah, but if you
And Netflix.
go into digital media promotions, you get things like cable, you get those sidebars on your computer.
Exactly.
So if you're reading the free press, you always see that sidebar of what you were shopping for last week advertised. And so it's things like that that you get through a digital media buy. So,
But I mean, if you are looking at, for example, charter or any of those, it's all dependent on what program you really select to.
yes,
So it's more of a detailed thing. And if you select the wrong programming, you wasted your money.
right. They do have set top capture for digital views, so they know who's watching what, and we know pretty well what our retail trade area is comprised of, and it's very easy to match those two up. So, I mean,
Well, we've had from OCTV over 32,000 hits last month. So, you know, that is a free offering to you folks. And Terry's willing to work, as I said, for promotions
Yep.
for the group.
mhm,
And whatever the businesses want to do, they're more than willing to work with them as well.
right.
So,
Well, the other component outside of advertising, I think, is it's important that the village itself stay on top of the project, work closely with MDOT, and to give them incentives to get this done sooner than later. And look outside.
I mean, you
the
had
box.
mentioned extending or not, or having a longer workday. I mean, do we have that,
There were,
okay, as an option?
Yeah, that
Get
was,
done earlier?
even on the skip paving they did last year, the council allowed them skip patching, yeah.
That was the ultimate incentive.
By the time we gave them the incentive to do it, they were done.
They were
They
done,
were done
right.
so fast. They showed up, nobody even knew they were showing up.
Yeah.
And then we addressed it, so well, if you can work later, it'll help you get done, and the next day they were done.
yeah, last time, yes, you can't work, you know.
Right, so I mean,
Like
the council,
Down kind of a thing. So
council already saw the benefit of, hey, let's let them work a little later during the good season.
Paving or grinding and stuff like that can be done.
Mhm.
But
Way
yeah,
most
they,
of it would be done at nighttime anyway.
MDOT does work incentives into all of their contracts for early completion, and they're gonna allow them to request, an extended workday, things like that. The skip patching project, they had penalties for not notifying people, and they had incentives for early completion, and the incentives for early completion outweighed the penalties. And so they just went out on Monday morning without telling anybody and did it. And they came out
Yeah.
significant dollars ahead, even after paying the penalties for it, so. I mean, these guys will figure out the way to get it done as fast as they can, because they're gonna wanna get as many projects as they can into that construction season, so.
The interesting thing that NDOT alluded to the fact that they felt that a certain contractor probably would be the one that's doing the work. Well, it just so happens that that's the same contractor that's doing the Baldwin Road project. So then amongst ourselves, we joke, well, there damn better be barbecue ribs and prime rib for lunch every single day offered up here in the street. These guys up here in town, that everybody would want to come and work here as opposed to down there, so.
Hard to have lunch menus.
Yeah.
Part of that merchant survival kit is something to the effect of how to build your own merchant plan. And I would hope that most businesses are already doing their pre-planning as well, talking to the managers, talking to their suppliers, their accountants, and figuring out, again, we know it's coming, how do we make it work for these,
Right.
4 to 6 months or whatever it is. So maybe there's some language in there and developing a plan, a business.
That,
a
is,
specific business plan for
Right.
this period.
that, those recommendations are in the surviving construction season document that was produced last summer.
Right,
So this is sort of standing on its shoulders,
okay.
so.
Is
That,
that document available to?
it's on our website. I know I've given you a couple of copies.
Okay, I probably read it. Didn't realize that's what you were.
Yeah, it's the surviving and thriving in construction,
Oh, okay.
and it's got some of the information that we had at the time it was produced with regards to timelines, and, you know, it mentions the fact that our parking is not going to significantly decline during construction season, so we still have a surplus of 200 spaces in our downtown based on demand for a average to busy night. You know, the issue becomes nobody really utilizes the church on East Burdick for parking,
Right.
even though it says, you know, parking except during church services. And so if we can get a bigger sign on that says parking Monday through Saturday, they'll utilize it more. So, yeah, I mean, we're looking at things like, you know, maps, providing the logos, providing them deliverables, providing all of the artwork so that they can create their own social media posts. We did not contract with Digital Alliance to do the collateral things like coasters and such, because I think we're within our capacity to create that on our own, given the logo and given the tools that we do have. So I thought that would be a savings that we'd rather spend on collateral rather than paying for somebody to create the collateral for us. So I think we have enough skill in this community to do that.
Makes sense.
The temporary signs and banners, is there going to be a size restriction on those?
More than likely, to some degree.
Yes.
Like the signs up and down Burdick, or Glassy.
Mhm.
You know, when I turn left on Broadway here, turn left on Burdick here to get to, if somebody wants to put their sign down here, you know, homegrown, turn left here. I would imagine there's gonna be some limitation on the size. There has to be, otherwise someone's gonna show up with a 4x8
Right.
plywood out there.
Right.
The off-sites, I would rather the DDA coordinate for those businesses that you access down into the, you know, if you're trying to get to the southeast quadrant, you turn it Broadway. If you're trying to get to the northeast quadrant, you know, I'd almost have you come down to East Street rather than come down Burdick, and just teach these folks the back ways that they already know, and just sign them appropriately, and have a one large sign that's slotted for these businesses, and it's in 4-inch type, rather than each individual having a sign.
And sometimes people put their logo and everything on their sign and you can't read it.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna work heavily on that so that we can get that out there in front of the construction season.
But then as far as like along 24 or maybe on the backside, maybe, but if you want to put a banner also,
Mhm.
we'll have to look at what size.
Well, it's something that the planning commission probably
Yeah.
needs to look at
They
now.
already have some parameters in for that stuff, but I said we want to expand it to where it's allowed for the duration.
Right,
Right.
just knowing how long sometimes things take to work through the process.
Part of the problem is by putting stuff over on Glassy Street, trying to get people over this way, a very large majority that you put it on someone's private property.
Right,
Because there's not a whole lot of big easements there and sidewalks and so on and so forth, so you end up be putting it in somebody's front yard or one of the businesses. and then
We'll try to stick to the right way best we can.
Yeah.
Need permission.
Yeah, that's the reason for having us coordinate here at the village and the DDA, is that we can use the right of way and put up our signs without having to go through and negotiate.
right.
So yeah, I will pull together a focus group of different clusters of merchants, because I know they're available at different times. Retailers and restaurateurs have totally different schedules of when they're available, so we can do that. The other one I want to discuss a little bit is you know, the rebranding and completion. A lot of people said this is a really good opportunity to take advantage of a fresh new street, and you know, not necessarily change your logo type or your logo, but maybe change your tagline for a little while to take advantage of that and do it up big. So maybe we have a major event at the end, if it's not going to be until later in November when they end the project, you know, tie it into the Soup and Sweet Stroll and just keep the street closed for that day and then open it up when we light up the Christmas tree or something. So And that's 15 months away, we've got time to think
If
about
the
that.
street's still closed, could that event be on the street if it's done and not completely open yet?
Yeah,
On the new
that's,
pavement.
on a new
But the
pavement.
southbound would still be there.
Right, all right.
But that's easy enough to detour for
Yeah.
a little while.
Mhm.
But
I like the idea of ribbon cutting and it'd be nice to, on the front end, to have a groundbreaking too.
yes, that's on the plan. Yeah.
Are there any major events being planned for the summer during construction?
We're still spitballing those around, we've talked about restaurant pub crawls, we've talked about doing a construction fashion show. We've got one idea we're kicking around calling the Oxford Open and doing mini golf on the backside of all the downtown businesses.
What about
Maybe that's something, oh, sorry, Joe.
the Witches Night Out? They had done one that's in October, right? So if
Yes.
they did it in 2020, it's quite possible that construction wouldn't be all open yet.
Right.
Do you think they would probably still do
Oh yeah, they'll do it on the backside.
it? Okay.
We'll just move everything to the back. I mean, we're already planning on moving all of our street furniture and planters to the backside for that construction season. And then we'll get shiny new stuff on the front, then we can go out and refurbish again, possibly sandblast and powder coat all of our old materials.
Yeah, there could be a weekly Thirsty Thursdays or something, especially with the brewery and bar type restaurants.
Mm.
It sounded like that Witches Night Out thing was very successful
Yeah.
for the merchants and the restaurants.
One idea, I don't remember what community it was, in they're near the construction, I think in our case, Centennial Park makes sense. But there was a sandbox for kids, with Tonka truck, with construction-based, Tonka trucks and
Right.
things. So as concerts in the park's going on, kids can be out there playing and constructing your own road.
It's likely to be a little loud for construction, between construction in concerts in the park, to have them in Centennial Park.
Okay, I guess my preference would be to still have them in
That's
Centennial.
what's going on, I mean, it might not be anything going on at that night too.
Right.
I can't believe every single night.
I think everything that happens downtown now needs to still happen next year,
Yeah.
plus everything
Yes.
else
Yes.
that's,
We're looking at some type of event every 2 weeks, whether it's a group special or an actual event. So, the other thing is we can program a lot on Saturdays because people won't be doing the commute or the construction drive. I know it adds 45 minutes to my trip every day now, going through 4 construction zones. So, but that's the life.
Another reason to love winter. No orange barrels.
No orange barrels. Snow season and
No
construction season.
mosquitoes.
So,
It's all upside.
anything else you want to add in the next 2 minutes? Questions, comments, thoughts, things I can look into over the next 2 weeks?
are you gonna, so what's the process now with the logo? Take that, dial it back to
Can you
Curtis?
add it to the DDA meeting tonight?
The logo, yes.
Then I go to council,
Go to our next meeting.
yeah,
So
Yeah, 'cause-
get it wrapped up so we can
I
start.
can add it to the tonight's agenda. I've got to take off the budget wrap up because we're not there yet on last year's budget and where we're at.
Sure, basically.
We can strike that and add the logo. It won't, it'll be a 5-minute discussion tonight, I think, so.
Elgin makes that motion, and we all set them.
Good.
Speaking of motions, there was a motion on the floor and someone supported it. Did you need to vote on
Um,
that, or is this not a formal approval?
Anybody opposed?
No.
Carried.
There we go.
And I think the wording, if you produce a memo or something, is that the M-24 task force recommendation is to adopt
Yes.
the following.
Yep. And that'll be on tonight's agenda. And then we can do the award to Aaliyah.
Maybe do that at the next meeting.
I was thinking of doing it at the village council.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Because I will not be at the August meeting
Okay.
for the DDA. I will be in South Bend presenting,
I will be there as well.
so.
I won't be presenting. But I'll be there,
Absorbing.
absorbing, listening.
Main Street Open Council meeting is sponsored.
Yeah, there's some reasons.